that's when I first changed my name and was told I've got to join the union because my name at that point had been adopted, and my name was Michael Ingram. And there was a newscaster called Michael Ingram, so I had to change my name before I was allowed to go on the air on Billy Bunter that Saturday. So, and I panic-stricken, I got on the bus on the way home, and I passed a biscuit lorry that had Crawford's Biscuits are Best on it, and I thought, oh, that looks good, because they printed the name Crawford very nicely, and it was surrounded with tartan. So I thought, I went in the next day, I said, Michael Crawford. And they said, OK, fine, that's all right, yes. And that's what I've been ever since. I'd sung in the choir at school, and this school supplied choristers to places like Westminster and St Paul's Cathedral. So I sang quite a few times there, and Brompton Oratory was sort of, didn't matter what denomination you were, or what the church was, you just went along and sang. I didn't have a particularly good voice. I was in tune, and I was a boy soprano. Then I did a couple of operas for Benjamin Britten for the English Opera Group. I was in that company, and I auditioned for a couple of BBC producers and started to do schools broadcasts. Like it was £1, I think. It was called a guinea in those days, but you'd with the £1, £1 you would earn for each broadcast. And so I saved up. After I'd done about 4 months worth, I bought a bike so that I could get to work on time. And used to put a yellow cape on, as one did on a bike in those days, and long white socks, and go along looking like a lampshade, ride into work at the BBC.
In many ways, although you've done so many different things, I get the impression that musical theatre is something that you enjoy more than anything else. Is that a fair comment or not?
I think it is. When I did Billy, that was so exciting, but of course it was really tough going, because it was 8 shows a week, and one tap number was 11 minutes long. You can't describe what a warm feeling it is to play to a large audience like that. Most of the big things that have happened to me have all happened by accident. I know some others happened by accident. Phantom happened by accident. Dolly certainly happened by accident. I was doing a show called Black Comedy on Broadway, and somebody came to see it, who was a producer on that show, and said, that Gene Kelly is doing a film version of Hello Dolly, and I think you would be very suitable for it. Well, I'd never seen Hello Dolly, and I didn't know what they were thinking of me for. And they said, oh, it's the juvenile lead in it. And so I thought, well, age-wise, I'm suitable. So being a juvenile. So they said, when you're going back to England at the end of this, when you go out there's a world premiere of How I Won the War, which was the film I did with John Lennon. And it's an anti-war film, so we're going to premiere it in San Francisco, because that was a very freedom-loving city. So that was the place at the San Francisco Film Festival. So while you're there, Gene Kelly's going to fly up from LA and meet you. So I arrived, whatever it was, early one morning, and I was jet-lagged out of my brains. And you keep looking at the line behind you, the queue behind you, going, who did you say is meeting me? While you're filling in your details at the desk, and they said Gene Kelly will be. I said, oh, that's wonderful, isn't it? And you keep looking around, you're scribbling all over the desk with it instead of putting your name. So I took the note up with me, and I framed it when I got home, but. Then I'm constantly changing my clothes, getting ready for Gene Kelly's arrival. I'm so nervous. I shaved 3 times. In the end, there's blood coming off my face, and I've got tissues all over trying to stop the blood. Then I end up wearing a pair of striped trousers and a check shirt, which looked absolutely dreadful. Because in the 60s, that's how we dressed, and obviously there were flares. So I had this absurd outfit on. There's a bang at the door, and I opened the door. He said, "Hi, kid, I'm Gene Kelly." I said, oh, 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 and that's all I could say. I couldn't say another word. She said, can I come in? I said, oh. It was like a sort of bad impersonation of Jimmy Stewart going, oh. And so he came in, he walked through in this hotel room, all carpeted. He sits there looking at me, and then he says, now listen, can you dance, kid? I said, well, I do a bit in the bath, Mr. Kelly. And he said, what do you mean? No, it's a joke. I said, like you sing in the bath, and I'm saying I dance in the bath. I said, it's a silly joke, really. I'm not known for my humour, really. He said, well, what are you known for? I said, nothing. Absolutely nothing, really. I'm not known for anything. He said, well, listen, can you do this? And he gets up on the table, and he does a few steps on the coffee table. And he says, get up here. And I got up and I said, isn't this funny? Us up here together. I said, we'll laugh about this one day, won't we? He said, I doubt it. He said, just dance. I said, but I can't. He said, do what I did. 4 steps. So I did the 4 steps. He said, that's okay. He said, you can dance. I said, I can? I said, I never knew. I never knew that before. He said, listen. He said, are you for real? I said, what is the part exactly? He said, what we're looking for is an attractive idiot. My wife thinks you're attractive, and I think you're an idiot. And so I got the chance to do a test.